people hitting a speed hump, for whatever reason, going too fast around the corner, not paying attention, whatever. So it's very little widening on that side, probably a foot, a slight sliver. And then on the other side, widening about 4 feet. You'll see there's a tree on the south side, and we have to do special treatment around the tree roots in order to try and not cause any damage to that tree or affect itself. So this is probably in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. But if we get the go-ahead from the city manager, this is something we could implement. It would make the intersection slightly safer because we have seen evidence of vehicles going around to the right and doing so in a somewhat unsafe manner. So, as I said, I'm waiting for the city manager's go-ahead on this. Be happy to answer any questions specifically.
So, do the right-of-ways or other considerations allow for the north side of the street to be moved even more north, so that the turn lane could be more north, so that that would maybe accommodate even more width to get by for right turns?
It does. We looked at a number of variations, and the problem with moving that lane further north is it skews the traffic across El Camino Real a little bit more. Right now we like to follow that box dots line, so we prefer keeping the center line as close to its current location as possible. So that's why we're recommending this particular configuration.
And what is to prevent taking the, right now, it looks like, according to your diagram, if there are 4 cars queued, you could make it by, but if there are 5 cars, you couldn't. What's to prevent you from extending that a little further back to enable even more?
Just cost.
And do you have a sense of what it costs, like, per additional car length?
A couple of $1,000s.
The reason why I ask the question is because there is, I don't know exactly when during the day, but there's extensive queuing.
Yes, I've experienced that. We could take it all the way back to the intersection. Probably be another $10,000 to $12,000.
Since I live near here, I imagine that the residents, I could find residents in my area who would be willing to help contribute towards that.
I'm not sure what the city's policy is on that, so I'll not be able to comment.
A bake sale.
Gordon, there's a similar problem coming from Fair Oaks in the other direction.
Yes, that's not one we've been asked to look at.
Is it actually? Does it back up that far?
Well, in fact, I think only if there are like 2 cars waiting, you can't get by.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, the other side of the street.
Yeah.
It's true.
So just.
Yeah, actually, no, it's a little more than that. But I mean, it used to be that there were 3 turn lanes, and then they consolidated to 2. And so I think that anyway, it is a lot better. But I haven't seen that.
I can
Have a look.
It may be something, I don't know what whether that's something that you'd want to have agendized for a future traffic committee meeting. I'd certainly be glad to discuss with the city manager in the interim and mention it came up.
One thing I can suggest, one way of doing very, very inexpensive traffic surveys is to use Google Maps on a Mac or PC, the old version of the new. And when you click on traffic on the lower left-hand corner, there's the default setting is traffic now, but if you choose the other option, which is you set the time of day, and then you can look based on day of the week and time of day what the traffic conditions are, and so you can see when there's queuing and when there isn't on Atherton Avenue.
Yeah, I think I have an app called Waze that gives real-time traffic data.
Well, real time though requires you to be looking at each time, and this allows you to look across the entire week
Got it.
as to what the averages are. So,
Okay.
Is there any, are there any negative implications of this? Are we losing anything by
Yes,
widening it?
there are, aside from cost.
Yeah.
It could impact the health of the one heritage tree. We have to coordinate with the utility because there's a utility vault in the area, and it's a challenge to get them to relocate it.
is it necessary to relocate it?
It's necessary for them to relocate it, and I'm not sure whether the X and the Y axis, but at least the Z axis.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
And then I like to do that because typically if it's a public project, we tell them it's at their cost.
So, so if they basically put a thicker cover, then in theory.
It's sticking up now a couple of inches, so it would be a hazard to incorporate paving, and, you know, we think it needs to be lowered in order to do this, but it can all be done.
But if they said, hey, for a couple $1,000s, would you raise the pavement a few inches, then we might be willing to make that
We
deal.
have to look at that to see whether that's practical in terms of cross slope and drainage. The other downside is it's bringing the traffic slightly closer to that angle of the stucco wall, and with a large vehicle, it's possible a truck making a right-hand turn might damage their wall, so they might have an objection to that. You know, one of the possibilities would be installing a bollard or two in front of their wall.
Is there room for a pedestrian there at all? I don't know.
That's another concern. We do not have a pedestrian path on that side.
Right.
There's no crosswalk on that.
Yeah.
And Atherton Avenue is one of the designated pedestrian paths in our master plan. So we'd have to make sure we had 4 feet there, or I think you're allowed 3 at the narrows.
On both sides of the road?
Not necessarily.
So you're gonna talk to the neighbors and,
Well, assuming the city manager gives us the go-ahead to pursue this, then we would talk to the neighbors.
and your other figure?
Oh, the other one, yes.
Rerouting the bike route.
That also came from the stakeholder advisory group of the bike and pedestrian master plan effort. And we had a sign that required, kind of like we were
Sir,
talking
could you
before.
back up and explain what is the problem that's being solved? I'm not aware
We
of the
had,
issues.
I'm just about to get to that.
Okay.
We had a sign that was improperly installed that said walk bikes, or bikes use sidewalk here, and
So the bikes were diverted.
we were diverting bikes off of Middlefield onto the sidewalk, and many cyclists who are capable of riding on the road said, you cannot require us to use the sidewalk, and they were correct. So we removed that sign, but in doing so, we did not have a smooth transition through the intersection. So what's proposed here is to make some changes in the signing and striping and add the green bike path, I guess we'll call it designation, through this intersection, so that cyclists who wish to use the intersection and stay on the road can do so in a safer manner, and that motorists would be advised as to where their vehicles should be positioned in order to also allow for that safe sharing of the right-of-way.
Don't you need more pavement?
I'd love to have more pavement,
That's
but
all
we
you got.
don't have it. No, I've actually measured it down to the nearest foot, and we have it. We're about 1 foot over the absolute minimum.
Okay.
But as Ms.
Well,
Lee suggested, we were also out there with a street sweeper saying, come on, literally, pick it up, pick it up.
Well, I think that's a very good proposal, because a lot of bicyclists do kind of split the lanes there, and to have it formally for drivers, so they know that bicyclists are going to be doing that, will really improve the safety. So,
That's certainly our hope.
yeah.
And then there are two other items I mentioned, the Atherton Avenue, Middlefield, Fair Oaks slurry seal project. As part of that, the bicycle consultant is looking at Middlefield from end to end and making recommendations as to other signing or striping or marking that we should do to enhance bicycle safety on Middlefield. And then last but not least, we have our annual street patching and slurry sealing project. So it should be online if you want to know if it's your street. Every year we try and improve, not necessarily the physical process, because that's up to the contractor, but we try and improve the notification to our residents. John mentioned that last year we had to sanction the contractor because of their inability to complete the work in an appropriate and timely manner. So this year we've added even more signage as a requirement for the contractor to do their work. So the hope is that residents will be better informed as to what to do. In previous years, we had more vehicles drive on the slurry, which causes problems for both the contractor, the town, and the driver. Last year, I think we had one, and this year we're hoping with more signs to have 0. So every year it's an effort of continuous improvement.
Thank you. Is there any questions, discussions? The committee woman, Whitmer, brought up the fact that our next meeting is scheduled for July 8th, which is pretty close to the July 4th weekend. And she was wondering whether we wanted to stick with that date or maybe reschedule it.
So we moved the finance committee meeting to the 15th, just for that same reason. So if you want to bump to the 15th.
Sorry,
Finance committee normally meets at the same sequence, and they had the same issue with it's a holiday weekend. So they chose the 15th, if the 15th works for everybody, I think 15th would be great.
So we could move to the 15th?
We could.
Okay.
We have the power.
We will.
Is that going to cause any problems, do you think,
Chief?
Not for staff, we're okay.
We're good?
And for our announcements and everything, getting the public notified, we're okay?
No, I think we'll be fine.
And since we're doing it with the finance committee at the same time, everything can go out,
Okay.
everybody will.
So the
I
next,
will be out of town.
that you'll be here the 8th?
I was planning on it. But, you know, I don't necessarily want to inconvenience everyone, but that was, I'm going to be in Europe the following.
Well, how many know they could not make it the 8th? One, the mayor.
Anyone else have a problem with it?
I can make it.
But if your preference, I mean,
Don't
I'm, oh, that's right, I'm not allowed to call in. Well, anyway. I will leave it to you guys to work it out because I don't, sort of,
Sorry?
I just leave it. If we're gonna lose a member because we change the date, then we shouldn't change the date.
So we missed the mayor, or we're taking a choice. I don't want to show any favor.
No, it's fine.
He doesn't get the vote.
That's right, I don't vote.
So you think we should keep it the 8th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, Karen.
That's all right.
Does an alternate council member show up if you?
I can work on that.
All right, so we
We
will.
wait till it comes in.
Actually.
Carrie, you
No, that's just a guy.
Carrie, you can wait till it comes out.
I'll be here, but also that decision would enable you to put something on the July council calendar if you chose to. If you're on the 15th, you can't get on the
Yeah,
calendar.
okay. All right, so let's stick with the 8th.
Okay.
The previous discussion, is forgotten by the jury. Anyone want to adjourn? So moved.
I moved.
Second.
Well, wait, can I just ask, so at what point are we going to discuss roundabouts? Now that we've gotten educated, when do we talk about it?
Oh. Well, good point.
All I know is that the roundabout at Atherton and Paulinas, or correction, Atherton and Alameda is not back to you. So you guys can discuss roundabouts anywhere else, but that roundabout's off your desk until we address it.
So you have a fifth council member.
So you can address roundabouts.
So why don't
Wait,
we,
let me, can I understand what, what that means?
It means until the council gets to 5 council members, the roundabout at Alameda and Atherton is not back. You guys punted, council's got it, it doesn't come back down to you. So you guys can discuss roundabouts at any other location but that intersection.
Well, we can discuss whatever we want,
discuss
but,
roundabouts.
but the action's in front of the council already, and until it makes a decision, nothing's really gonna
but
happen.
I think we should
Right.
discuss it in even more general terms.
Right, so you can do that, that's,
So
That's
we'll
plenty
put
fine.
it on the agenda for next
Right.
meeting.
yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
we're adjourned.
Great.
Thank you all.